from Michigan. Do you think if Tony Ferguson is victorious in his bout with Khabib Nurmagomedov, that his first title defense would be Conor and not an immediate rematch with Khabib due to the fact that how big of a draw Conor is?
What a mess that would be. And I love to think that through the same way as you're saying, but that would really change the landscape in a hurry. I mean, all your pieces come off the board if that happens. And Tony has a very good shot of beating Khabib. That's not only according to Tony, that's according to Khabib. I mean, this is a hard fight. So let's work that through real fast. See, I like the idea of having a round robin. I like the idea of having Tony, Khabib, Conor, and maybe they trade it all back and forth and sideways, right? Maybe Tony comes in and gets the jump on Khabib, Conor comes in and gets over on Tony, Khabib goes back to Conor. You understand the pieces there, but it would certainly change things fast. If the goal is to get Conor and Khabib together and have them get together for the title, you're going to have a big problem. If Tony goes in and grabs the belt, what do you do then? And I don't think anybody's going to complain if all of a sudden, okay, it's not going to be Khabib and Conor, it's going to be Tony versus Conor. Amazing. Sounds fun, but now it sounds different. It's not the same thing. And are we going to put this in Saudi Arabia? Are we going to hold this fight in Moscow? Well, all of a sudden you don't have to worry about those things anymore, right? Tony's from California. Tony's got the title. Looks like we're not going to Moscow. So I think that it'd be very interesting what would happen there. But it would also be hard to predict. It is. I mean, you got to see, is it going to be a controversial match? Is it going to be a close?
Hey, what's up, Chael? This is Amin from Montreal. I just got ticket for Tony versus Khabib fight. I'm super excited. And my question is, we've never seen Khabib getting cut during a fight. And we know that Tony Ferguson likes to use a lot of elbows. So my question is, how do you think will Khabib react if he gets cut during this fight? And how do you think it will affect him? Thank you.
A lot has been made of that. I got to tell you, a lot has been made of the fact that Tony Ferguson likes to cut and slice people and how good he is with those elbows. That even if Khabib takes him down and gets that top control, like we've seen Khabib do in so many fights, that's where Tony then goes to work with the elbows, which I think all of this is true. I just don't know that I would buy in to any level of narrative that was to make believe that Khabib all of a sudden goes into panic mode. Khabib sees his own blood and all of a sudden goes into panic mode. And that seems to be a lot of what I'm hearing. And I don't know if that's how you were asking the question. Maybe that's just how I'm interpreting your question. But I think that would be very naive of us if we have no evidence whatsoever that a cut is going to bother Khabib, but therefore we've decided to add into the story, should Khabib get cut, it's going to bother him and he's going to unfold. I don't know about all that. I don't know if I'm buying that. However, the strikes that would have to land to cut Khabib, which are going to be Tony's elbows, those in of himself could end up be the problem, not the blood. I mean, those are a big deal, the way Tony does it. And some guys just have elbows like that. They're just very sharp. Anderson Silva had that. Very sharp, right? He was long and he was skinny, so everything was very pointed. Tony's one of those guys where it's a real weapon. A little bit different the way he does it. And it's going to cause you some pain, some swelling, some numbing. Yes, it could also cause some blood. But I think that the pain and numbing and swelling would have more of an effect on Khabib's mindset and the rest of the bout than the blood.
Hey, Chael, this is John from New Jersey. With my little daughter Audrey here. Say what's up, Audrey? Anyway, my question is about DC and Stipe. Stipe's coach was recently on the interview, and he said that he would want to fight someone that isn't DC. He wants new blood, maybe possibly a rematch with Ngannou. Do you think it'd be wrong for Stipe and his camp to deny DC the rematch that he gave to him a year ago? Do you think it'd be wrong? How do you feel about Stipe fighting somebody else that's not DC, and making DC wait around and get older for that trilogy fight? Tell me how you feel about it, man. I think it'd be kind of wrong of Stipe to do that. Anyway, I love the show. Say bye, Audrey. Bye. Bye, Uncle Chael.
I can tell you with a very high degree of confidence that Stipe's next fight is going to be with Daniel Cormier for the heavyweight championship. I can also tell you that if we look at the history of these two, don't forget the night Daniel comes in and stops Stipe. takes his championship. They usher Stipe to the back and they bring Brock Lesnar in and tried to make that fight. Now, nobody was wrong there. And Daniel Cormier was not wrong for wanting this big mega match with Brock at all.
Hey, Uncle Chael. I want to ask you a question about the great Chael Sanderson. I watch a lot of videos on that guy, and I was wondering what your thought would be on him in MMA. The guy was dominant force in wrestling, and I still think he's the best amateur wrestler, or whatever you want to call him, that ever did it. So, if I could just hear about that, and if you have an amazing Chael Sanderson story, love to hear it. Thanks.
Oh, I think we'd all have to assume that Chael would have cleaned house. He would have come in and just done a great job. You know, above everything else, he's a great competitor. I've never heard a story like that. Like,
What's up, Uncle Chael? It's your boy, Baby, and I wanted to ask you 2 questions. Question number 1, what did you eat for breakfast this morning? Question number 2, what is the best discipline to transition into MMA? Would it be a boxer, a wrestler, a taekwondo guy? I don't know. What do you think?
I did not have breakfast today. You know, I don't really eat breakfast. Almost never. Almost never, ever. The best style to transition. I would encourage something grappling based.
Hey Chael, this is Pete. I'm a fan of yours and I'm from Berlin. And I have a question regarding the Tony Ferguson versus Khabib fight. Since this has been the 5th time this fight has been announced, I don't think we're going to get a 6th try. However, what do you think would happen if the champ Khabib pulls out? Because since he's the champ and Ramadan is right around the corner, if I'm not mistaken, in April, I'd assume the UFC would have to strip him. What do you think?
Oh, that'd be a mess, wouldn't it? That would be a very big mess, and I suppose some of it would come down to what was the reason. You know, what was the reason? What happened? Was this an injury? Was this an illness? Exactly what happened, and when do you think that he's going to return? Yeah, I suppose if that happened closer to the fight week, all of a sudden he pulls out for some reason. I don't know that they would strip him, but it would seem as though perhaps that would be an extra motivating factor to keep Tony on the card, bring in whoever that opponent's going to be. Gaethje, I think, is offered to do this. Conor has spoke about doing this. And do an interim match. Could be something like that. Then Conor might say, I'll do it, but no interim. Strip him complete. I mean, who knows? That would be a really big mess. And let's hope that doesn't happen.
Hey, what's up, Chael? This is Eli Knight from Missouri. I was wondering, what do you think would happen if Yoel Romero went up to 205? Because I know he makes a huge cut down to 185. Do you think he could be as successful at 205, or do you think 185 is his perfect weight class? Let me know.
Well, Yoel's been competing at 185 his whole career. When he was an amateur wrestler, for example, when he represented Cuba at the World Championships and the Olympic Games, he did it at 185 pounds. So, one of those guys. And I've always wanted to see him at 205. I always thought he was the right size, but he also had an explosiveness. He also matches up very interestingly with John Jones. Now, this story would be a little bit more relevant 5 and 6 years ago when Yoel started to kind of make his run through the sport. But at that time, I always thought, you know, that guy, Romero, should be doing this at light heavyweight, but he wants to be 185, and I don't know why he puts his body through that. I mean, he has a really hard time making it. It cost him a world championship. And if you'll remember that, he fought Rockhold. That was for the interim world championship. He won that fight. But because he missed weight by 0.2 of a pound, the belt was no longer on the line. So it quite literally cost him a world championship. And I do agree with you. I am always